to prepare for the digital? You mentioned that they should get a tablet if possible, but then there's not much available online in terms of practice.
For the digital LSAT, on LSAC's website, familiar.lsac.org, you can find all of LSAT Prep Test 73, which is a very recent exam. It's from after, it's like 2012 or 2014, something like that. And so that's one exam. And so if you consider another LSAT course, just make sure that they fully have the digital format integrated. So they have LSAT Prep Tests interactive in that style. I could go on LSAC's site right now and show you what it looks like. Have you all seen it yet?
You have seen it? No, you haven't been there? All right, I guess not.
Cool. All right. Well, I will pull that up on my computer and hope that I don't reveal anything embarrassing by accident. So this is LSAC's site. They have, I definitely recommend going here and checking it out, familiar.lsac.org. And I saw a lot of you were going for July, and you might get this format, so you definitely want to see what it looks like. They have some videos that are really boring. I wouldn't recommend watching those, but they have some practice problems. So you could see here the instructions, and they're kind of showing you what you can do. You can select choices, you can mark for review, you can navigate, highlight, underline. Let's just dive right in. So this is like a logical reasoning question, or maybe even the first question of a game. This is the stimulus, if it's logical reasoning, the question stem, the answer choices. There are a lot of cool features on here that I actually think are not worth using. So you can underline stuff. You can see how I'm underlining. You can erase what you underlined. If you kind of click around there, you can highlight as well. You can highlight in different colors. I think all of these features are just a huge waste of time. Your system might differ and you can play around with it and see what you like, what you don't. But I personally don't think there's a huge benefit to any of this. I think this is kind of like technology being used for technology's sake rather than it actually being valuable. As you can see, it's a kind of tough to actually erase, even though I was trying to. It took me a few seconds there. You can make the text larger if you want. You can make it really large. You can make it small. Those are, I think, meant more for people who have like eyesight issues. You can also theoretically increase or decrease the brightness, although I don't think it works on desktop. But you can do this all on the computers I'm doing right now. But I'd say the best thing to do is, of course, do it on a tablet or even a smartphone. If you have one of those really big smartphones like a Google Pixel, that could be good too. So try around, play with it. I would definitely recommend, though, getting a stylus, which is like a pen for a tablet, because that's what you're going to be using on test day. One other thing I suppose I should show you is choosing a choice. You see I clicked A and then it went on the bottom left there. You can also eliminate an answer choice. Like I'm eliminating E or crossing it off. You see it's eliminated there now as well. You can also flag a question. So if I wanted to flag this one, you see now there's a little flag next to number 1. So those are some cool features. I guess the countdown timer is a mixed bag. You have it counting down for the whole 35 minutes per section, but once the 5-minute warning hits, you can't remove the countdown timer. And so that's an additional thing I would suggest, again, getting used to, because it can be a little nerve-wracking maybe. And you see there's even more questions here. You can see as they get lengthier what it looks like. You kind of have to scroll down. But this is a bit different than paper and pencil. And I guess I'm kind of feeling old now because I don't love this. But for those of you who are younger and more into tech, this could be a good thing maybe. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. A few other things I suppose I should mention about July specifically are that the July LSAT will let you see your score before you decide whether to cancel, which is unique. Usually you don't get to see that. This is kind of like SAT score choice. But again, because law schools don't average multiple scores, there's not really a reason to cancel in any case. If you do cancel July though, they'll give you a free retake. So that's $190 of value if you might want that. Something to think about. But again, never really a reason to cancel in my opinion, unless it went horribly, horribly wrong, like something like an earthquake or a tornado hit, something like that. Now, you were asking about how to prep for the digital LSAT specifically. Aside from, of course, wanting to do LSAT problems in this interactive style, I suppose another thing you'd want to be thinking about is how to modify your actual approach. Because if you're doing it paper and pencil, you're probably used to writing on the page, underlining and highlighting physically with a pen or pencil. You can't do that anymore, of course, on digital. So you'll have to do all the work on scrap paper. So yes, there will be scrap paper. There won't really be a severe limit on it as far as I know. So you won't get only 1 page. You might get 5 pages or 10 pages, whatever you get, it'll probably be enough for you. But you have to get used to doing all your work to the side and kind of looking back and forth. And so you think for games, if you're used to doing it on the page or reading comp, you're used to underlining actual physically on the passage, you can't do that anymore. So this is kind of the opposite of everything I previously would have ever suggested for test prep. And so it's kind of requiring me and other test prep folks to kind of modify our approaches and what we recommend. And so definitely make sure, again, when you seek out additional LSAT prep, that the people you're seeking it from know about the digital LSAT and are modifying their strategies accordingly. I think this will matter a lot more for games than anything else. And you want to really get used to, with games, having an organized system for how you diagram your main diagram and then your individual hypotheticals for particular LSAT questions. So maybe on the scrap paper, you always want to do your main diagram on the top left and then number one by one on like the right hand, going down the right hand side of the page for individual question diagrams.